Yo, welcome back. Welcome back to the Four Wide Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us yet again in our Fantasy Football Huddle. Your co-hosts, Matt, Shed, Olu, and today we don't have the male model Will with us. We have a special guest. Will is in Spain with his family. We have the inventor of fantasy football, Mr. Ryan Painter. We'll tell you more about who he is in just a minute. It is our Week 9 recap, Week 10 preview. Welcome to the NFL. Keaton Mitchell and Tyreek Hill promised us something, but couldn't deliver. Welcome back once again to the Four Wide Fantasy Football Podcast. We are glad to share our fantasy football takes with you. Guys, listen, our viewership has been going up. Shed shared with me recently over the last, Shed, 28 days?
Yep,
our
28
viewership
days.
is now up 19%. Thank you. Thank you to all of our listeners, our subscribers. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We like to have fun. We like to share our content. Let's keep this thing going. But guys, 1 minute of shine, uninterrupted. Mr. Ryan Painter, our first ever guest. Why don't you share with our listeners who you are and why you are invited on this podcast in place of Will today?
Well, thank you for having me, gentlemen. I appreciate it. A lot less hair gel going on. I did not put 2 hours of grooming on my face, but nonetheless, I'm here. I'm the old guy here in the group. I'm 47 years old, and yes, you heard it right.
Dang!
I thought I invented fantasy football. The year was 1990. I had been in a rotisserie baseball league, and I thought we should do something like this for football. And so me and my brother and 2 other guys created what we thought was the original fantasy football team. I was in middle school at the time. Later on, I get to college. This is pre-internet. I get to college, and everybody's got a fantasy football team, and I realized I probably was not the originator of football. But hey, since 1990, I've been doing fantasy leagues, and so I'm there for it.
Let's go.
Hey, real confession, Ryan. About how many leagues would you say you're in right now? Dynasty
7.
and redraft.
7 right now.
7?
This year's 7.
Golly.
Wow, that's a
Dude,
lot.
it's like kids. Like once you have more than 2, they're easy to keep up with, right? Like
Ryan,
one
you
slot,
have
2
2 kids.
slots.
What would you know about that?
You do your research and you just go bloop, 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 and you're good. Like I think I could be in 20 leagues, and I don't think it would take too much extra time off my plate.
We are all parents of only 2 kids, so none of us have crossed that threshold to actually experimenting with more than 2 kids. But that is what I hear. Once you're tired and once it just is hectic and crazy, you're just used to it. You know?
Well, the big kids take care of the little kids, right? So if you're doing your research for one fantasy league, you're kind of doing it for all the fantasy leagues. Tuesday's your waiver day. You just get on schedule. So it's
And you just
not
change
that
all
much
your
more
lineups
work.
when you're on the toilet anyways, right?
Anyways,
Let's keep it going. 1 minute of shine. Shed, you're up, bro.
Okay, so my question is CJ Stroud the real deal? He passes for 470 yards against the Buccaneers, setting the NFL rookie record in a Texans 39-37 win. This is more than your Peyton Mannings. This is more than your Herberts, your Mahomes, your Marinos, your Elway. He has the record. This year he has, on top of that, he has 2 additional games where he passed for 384 yards for 2 touchdowns and 306 yards and 2 touchdowns. As a rookie, he's 7th in the league in pass yards, 8th in touchdown, and oh, by the way, gotta say, he's only thrown 1 interception. Yes, 1 interception so far this year. Like, who saw that coming? And to be fair, who saw that coming not from a rookie, but who saw that coming from an Ohio State quarterback? Like, no shade against my Ohio State guys, right? No shade at all. But Ohio State QBs have not been good NFL caliber quarterbacks.
The curse, baby.
The Texans look like they not only found their future quarterback, but they found their future coach. Their wide receiver room is looking very good, and they are a top 10 defense. They may be able to rise C.J. Stroud's arm into a 6 or a 7 seed playoff spot.
Nice.
Dang.
Nice.
Olu, your 1 minute of shine.
my 1 minute of shine is I love where the league is right now. I love it. There's no clear leader in the league. There's no clear best player. There's no clear dominant player. One of the dominant teams, which is the Seattle Bengals, they're in the hunt. They're not even the walk-up picture. Actually, they are. Yeah, they're 5-3 with many other teams. I think I love when that happens where there's no, oh, the Chiefs are the best team. The Chiefs can get beat any day, just like they got beat recently by one of the worst team in the league, the Broncos. So I love where the league is, just like the Eagles just got beat by the Jets about 3 weeks ago. So I love where the league is right now. At any single moment, anybody can get it. It's like a WWE battle royal, and I'm here for it. Who's gonna be the last man standing? Let's go.
I'll tell you who's not going to be the last man standing, and I'm going to share in my 1 minute of shine. This past weekend, I was at the New York Giants game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, I bought a plane ticket from Boston to Las Vegas. Shout out Spirit Airlines. Didn't spend a lot on it. Praise God. But I want to fill everybody in on what I call the Weber curse. Okay, now you might be thinking, what is this? I inherited a curse from my father. I'm a Giants fan. He grew up in the Bronx. Shout out to you, Pops. And being a Giants fan is beautiful, but it's also ridiculous at the same time. And anytime my father and I go to a game together, the New York Football Giants lose, and they lose badly. This time they lost, 30-6, and our quarterback tore his ACL. Last time we went to a game was 2 years ago against LA, and they lost. Oh gosh, I looked it up right now. The box score, they lost 37-21. That was a blowout. There was a time we went to a game in Atlanta and they lost 34-0. Yes, we went all the way to Atlanta and they lost 34-0. These guys stink. And I could say a lot more about them, but I'm going to reserve that for another day and another time when I can just rant. But actually, you know what? No, give me a second. I'm going to say it. Let me tell you something. Look, last week we lost to the Jets. It was absolutely terrible, okay? Now, what was so crazy about it is Daniel Jones was declared out by Friday. To declare someone out by Friday is interesting. Fast rewind. The week before that, they played Washington. Daniel Jones was questionable the entire week. They did not declare him out. Tyrod Taylor wins the game. He wins the game against the Commanders. Daniel Jones was not declared out. Now you go ahead to the Jets. Daniel Jones, could he play? Maybe, but he hasn't been executing the offense well at all. Tyrod Taylor's been executing it better, but Tyrod Taylor's not getting paid $40 million. So what do? They declare Daniel Jones out by Friday. Remember that new rule where you can have 3 quarterbacks now, active 3 quarterbacks because of what happened last year in the playoffs with San Francisco? Well, they could have had Daniel Jones playing because right after we lose to the Jets because Tyrod Taylor punctures a lung or breaks a rib or something like that, and we have to throw out Tommy DeVito out there. What happens within 24 hours? Daniel Jones is declared cleared to play. The man could have played against the Jets. We could have beaten the Jets. The Giants are completely incompetent of executing football and winning for their fans. Then we go out there miles across the country to watch them lose to one of the worst teams in the league. That's how I feel about the New York Football Giants, but I'm going to watch them play on Sunday because I love them. Anyways, Olu, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say something. I love your willingness to take ownership and call it the Weber curse. I think they're giving the Webers way too much credit because the New York Giants have been bad for years, decades. Even when they won the Super Bowl, they were bad before they won the Super Bowl. So it's not you. Yeah, don't take too much ownership for that. They just bad.
Shit, just mute that man. Listen, this was my 1 minute of shine. Be quiet. All right, so here we go. Here's our episode for the day. In just a moment, we'll have our injury roundup. Will not be doing that today. Shed will be doing that. After that, we're going to go biggest takeaways from week 9. Looking ahead, we'll talk about matchups to exploit, then matchups to avoid. Listeners, we hope this helps you. We are not having a debate time because today we are going to reveal our top 10 running backs going forward. Last week, we revealed our top 10 quarterbacks. That was a lot of fun. Get ready. Top 10 running backs, a little bit more polarizing. We will also debate our discrepancies. And then we're going to finish off the episode with our single game mock draft. Shed, injury roundup. Take it away.
All right, guys, here is our injury roundup and implications moving forward. Treylon Burks has a concussion and is unlikely to play in Week 10. Your option would be Rashid Shaheed, who is only rostered 52% of Yahoo leagues, and if he's not available, Tank Dell's only rostered in 49% of leagues. Dallas Goedert, fractured forearm. He is supposed to be out about 4 to 6 weeks, is having surgery on Monday. An option for that is Jonnu Smith, who is rostered in 29% of leagues, or maybe Hunter Henry would be another option for that. Matt talked about Daniel Jones, torn ACL, out and done for the season. Joshua Dobbs is your guy. Only rostered in 19% of leagues. If you want more of a splash or more of a namesake, Jordan Love's your guy. Russell Wilson's out there. They're both hovering around 50% rostered in league. Cam Akers tore his ACL. MRI confirmed that. He's probably done for the season. He probably wasn't really in any of your leagues. More so, more so a flyer, right? Here's the thing. Guys to keep your eyes on coming this week. David Montgomery is coming back. Dan Campbell said that he is looking good to return for week number 10, but we're unsure how much load and workload he'll have. Kyler Murray is coming back this week against the Falcons. We should see a boost in Hollywood Brown and Trey McBride. Debo is back at practice today, and your guy, Drake London, is heading towards returning in week number 10. That's our injury roundup.
Oh, man, that was great, Shed. Guys, what do we think? That's the injury roundup. Go for it, Ryan.
Yeah, I think it's a deep sleeper, and it's kind of going to make you throw up in your mouth a little bit. But I think Juju Smith-Schuster, this is a weird week in that great wide receivers are on bye. Juju's an interesting play. Bill clearly doesn't like him, but New England's got nothing out there. Demario Douglas is kind of their main guy. He's a slot guy, and he's actually going to get shut down here a little bit. He's in the slot. He's going up against his opponent, very good against the slot. They have to put Juju out there. He's going to have to catch some balls. If you're desperate, go get Juju.
I would not dare.
We said this before. Just stay away from New England offensive players. Just stay away from them. Don't even try it. Just stay away. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. No, but that's great though. That's great. I think Burks. I mean, who was playing him? Goddard. That hurts. But I know that when Goddard went out last year, that's when Devontae Smith blew up for Philly.
That's the guy that benefits from that. They do 12 personnel. Devontae Smith's become the third option, maybe even the fourth option. And I think he's the one that'll benefit the most from Goddard.
The end of last year, Devontae Smith was one of the hottest receivers in the league, and that's when Goddard went out. I wonder if that's going to be what they do going forward. I mean, right now, AJ Brown is killing it, but Devontae Smith, last year he ended on a very high note.
Yeah.
And don't forget, I said in our episode when we talked about best wide receiver duos for the rest of the season, mark my words, I was the one who said AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. None of y'all jokers said that. It was me. One of you guys said Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams. Won't say who that was, but hey, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. I stand by it. Olu, what you got?
I will say I love the way the Eagles are using Julio. They don't have him run crazy routes. They don't have him running deep. But what they do is when they do get to the red zone, you have number 80, Julio Jones, there. And he's already caught one touchdown. So I love how they're using him. They're just using him just for red zone. I think that's pretty smart.
Atlanta never used him in the red zone.
I mean, they didn't.
Never. He's the only 6'4" dominating receiver who couldn't catch a touchdown pass.
He got 1,700 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Right. Anyways, let's move it forward, guys. Let's go forward. Biggest takeaways from week 9. Obviously, week 9 was very exciting. As I said before, welcome to the NFL. Keaton Mitchell, CJ Stroud was killing it. Lamar Jackson, oh gosh. I lost a fantasy matchup by 0.06 because Lamar could not get one touchdown or somebody couldn't get a yard. But anyways, that's frustrating. But biggest takeaways from week 9. Shed, start us off, man.
So biggest takeaway, look, Kansas City defense is officially legit. They held Miami to 3 of 12 on third downs and allowed less than 300 yards passing, total yards. Tyreek's first 8 games, he averaged 126 yards a game. against Kansas City on Sunday, 62 yards. 16 yards per reception in the first 8 games against Kansas City on Sunday, 7.8, the fewest this season. So Kansas City pretty much said, we'll take whatever you have and we'll cut it in half, Tyreek, and that's all you get. That's how dominant that defense is. I've been monitoring them over the course of the last couple weeks, the Kansas City defense, and seeing how they've been performing, and they are a big reason for the Chiefs' success. The defense is second in the league in points per game allowed, while only allowing 14 points at home this year. Reevaluating what happened, let's say the whole Tyreek situation, you guys remember that last year, right? The whole trade and everything with Tyreek going to Miami. Brett Veach and Andy Reid did the right thing to not only not pay Tyreek, but to take that money and invest those in picks in defenses. This past year, 5 of the 7 picks this year were defensive players. And if it weren't for some obviously glaring needs, like number 1 being wide receiver, number 2 being offensive line, I really think the Chiefs would have took all 7 picks and put them toward the defense. And in 2022, 7 of their 10 picks were all defensive on the defense side of the ball. And get this, so the game on Sunday, Trent McDuffie, the cornerback who forced the Tyreek fumble this past week, right? You know when they went for the bubble screen and Tyreek caught it and McDuffie caught the fumble? McDuffie was part of the trade package for Tyreek. How ironic is that? Yeah. This defense has come to play. They're a big reason why the Chiefs will make it to the AFC Championship game and possibly even the Super Bowl.
Well, let's slow down. But anyway.
So they'll make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we're going to go out there on a limb.
It's a long road.
No, but you're right, though. Chiefs D, shutting down Miami, that's no small task.
It's not. It's not. That's serious right there.
Except the Miami offense is not good when they're playing teams with winning percentage. They only go crazy when you're playing teams with losing record. So that's another caveat to put in place.
Well, it's because the good teams are good, and Miami hasn't figured out how to beat them yet. So that's more credit to the good teams, I would say, that figuring them out. But
I don't care if a team is good or bad. Tyreek Hill is fast. Like that man.
And once they get H-N, that changes the equation. They're not slowing anybody down.
Nah.
Once H-N
All right, biggest takeaway from week 9. Olu, what do you have, man?
All right. I've talked before. So I would like to take credit as I was one of the people that saw C.J. Stroud as being one of the top QB in the league. I've mentioned it here on this podcast that C.J. Stroud is legit. I've mentioned that before. And I was absolutely one of the first to talk about my man Tank Dell. So now I would like to tell you, don't laugh because
I'm so sorry. Keep going.
Okay, let's go. So I would love to put in place now and tell you how much they're flourishing with the C.J. Stroud Tank Dell connection. It's incredible. Okay, so now let's fix eyes on this. Okay, C.J. Stroud is third in yards, deep passes, yards over 20 plus yards. He's third in the league. He's third in 20 plus yards touchdown, and he's first in completions in deep passes. And guess what? Tank Dell is number 3 with the number is the third most touchdown with over 20 plus yards passes. He's number 3 in league. Only being led by Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans. And also he's 10th in yards, which with only 28 targets in deep passes. So what I'm trying to show you here is how the connections in deep passes is lethal. And they use it a lot each week to exploit their matchups. And I see them really just taking over as they build that connection. Because in order to connect in deep passes, it takes time to develop. And they are developing, and they're very lethal. So I really think they're a team or duo to watch out for. The duel of Tank Dell and C.J. Stroud.
Get it, Tank Dell. Come on, baby. Mm-hmm. Love it. Ryan, you're up, man.
And I feel like people, especially people in this group and people in my dynasty, need to start putting respect on Tank Dell's name. Week after week, he showed you he's that dude. So on Sunday, 46 seconds left, no timeout. How are we gonna get the ball to the end zone? Guess who we found? He found Tank Dell. Yeah, I better stop putting some respect on that little boy's name. Or sorry, not
my little boy. Hey,
Little man,
he delivered. No, that is true. He definitely delivered.
respect on his name. This man gains separation, and he's fast.
And actually, before Ryan gives his biggest takeaway from week 9, I just want to properly also I want to introduce him again as the commissioner for the Dynasty League that
Yeah,
myself,
bang.
Olu, Shed, and Will are all in. Ryan is in that league as well. He's our commish. Biggest takeaway from week 9.
Well, we're talking about Olu's little boys, and I got another fast little boy, some low hanging fruit here. Keaton Mitchell from them stupid Baltimore Ratbirds. Now, you got all excited. He got his 9 carries, his 138 yards, his touchdown. He looked electric. But hold your little horses there. Keaton Mitchell. This is what I'd say about Keaton Mitchell. Go get him. Do you want to go get him on your team? Go get him on your team. Do not play him this week. Do not start him against the Cleveland Browns defense. You got to see he's number 3 on the depth chart right now. Now, in all likelihood, he will pass Justice Hill. But I am not starting that guy based on he got 9 carries in the second half of a game when they were up 30.
Garbage time.
Now, let's be real. Baltimore is looking like the real deal, so that history might repeat itself. I want Mitchell on my team, and I'm seeing if there's some boom potential. I think he'll surpass Justice Hill. If and when he surpassed Justice Hill and is consistently getting 12 touches, then you give him your start.
Yeah, Keaton Mitchell, I have him in a dynasty, but I don't know about redraft. It's just like, you say he's 3rd on the depth chart. I'd argue 4th because Lamar's also taken 6 to 10 carries a game.
So here's what you want, though. This time of season, you got to be thinking playoffs. And there is such a thing. More times than not, it's the guy coming out of nowhere who takes you to win the chip. Keaton Mitchell has that type of ability with that offense and that speed. Now, I mean, he's like Tank Dell size, like 160 pounds. But that's a guy that could go off for 150 yards and take a couple to the house if he gets those opportunities. I want him on my roster. I'm just not playing it until I see it consistently.
Yeah, these mid-season pickup guys who propel a team through the playoffs. You guys remember when Peyton Hillis was that guy? Peyton Hillis?
No, Shad. I know nothing about that.
Or Stevie Johnson, the receiver from the Bills, like 10 years ago.
I'll take myself right here. Have you ever heard of Patrick Jeffers? Oh, go look at Patrick Jeffers. He won everyone's fantasy. He was, I believe, on Carolina. It was him and Burline. And if you had those two, you won your league. They went nuts in weeks 14, 15, and 16. The dude was putting up 200 yards and 3 touchdowns every game. Patrick Jeffers.
You know who that was?
I am old.
You know who that was more recently? 2 years ago, that was Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, these are the guys. Yeah, these are
in the middle of the year, and it hasn't gone down since. That was, oh my gosh! You guys remember there was a guy for the Eagles, Fulcrum, receiver.
Travis, yeah, Fulcrum.
Yeah, there was him. There was, these are throwback. Man, that's
somebody out of nowhere gets hot late.
Yeah,
usually a rookie. It's usually a young guy, and anyway.
My biggest takeaway from week 9 is, and I love it, and I'm happy to say it, Cincinnati Bengals are back. This has been the tale of 2 seasons for the Bengals so far. The first 4 games of the year, they only scored over 20 points 1 time. 2 of those times, they scored only 3 points. These latter 4 games that they've played in, they've only scored under 20 points 1 time, and they lost, and they won that game 17-13. But ultimately, these guys are back. It's very obvious that Joe Burrow was not healthy. It was very obvious that T. Higgins wasn't factored in that offense. Jamar Chase was clearly stating that he was open all the time. But this team is back. They are legit. They are playoff contenders. At the beginning, people were writing them off saying, what in the world's going on with these guys? Blah, 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 blah. We were talking about them negatively. I remember there was an episode we were talking about what's the greatest surprise, Cincinnati doing terrible or how great Miami is doing. And let me tell you something. The Bengals are back. These are the Bengals we want to see. These are the Bengals that are going to make a deep playoff run. Get them all in your lineup. Get them in your lineup. Burrow, Chase, obviously. It's time to put T. Higgins back in the lineup. Joe Mixon, he's showing up. Get him in your lineup. These guys are back. I'm so happy. Football's better when the Bengals have an explosive offense as they've had the last couple years. Shed, what you got, man?
And is there also a Irv Smith Jr. sighting as well,
gosh.
too?
He got a touchdown, didn't he?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That guy frustrated. So in our dynasty league, I drafted him. I held on to him. He frustrated me so much. I had to get rid of him. That's why you never get emotionally attached to any guy. You have to know when to let him go. And it was time to cut bait. But maybe he's found his landing spot in Cincinnati.
Let him go. Let him go. All right, what we're going to do now, listeners, is we're going to help you out a little bit. Matchups to exploit. We want to encourage you to get certain people in your lineup who you're on the fence about. Matchups to exploit for week 10. Shed, start us off, man.
All right, so this is interesting, right? This is an interesting defense. So Brock Purdy versus Jacksonville defense. Jacksonville has given up the most passing yards in the league. They're bottom 5 in first down allowed, but top 10 in pass touchdown defense allowed against them, and yet also they lead the league in interceptions. So it's kind of like it seemed like they give up a lot of yards, a lot of first down, but then they balance that off with getting a lot of turnovers at the right time. They're almost like you're seamlessly boom or bust, right? If opposing offenses can limit their turnovers, I believe this defense can be had as they are turnover reliant. Everything they're doing is based on their turnover. I think this week with Brock Purdy coming back, the 49ers will bounce back. Kyle Shanahan will have Purdy playing turnover free. CMC should be close to being fully healthy and coming back. Debo is back. He was at practice today, so he'll have his weapons back. And if they're full strength, I see them bouncing back with a victory this week. Thoughts?
Brock Purdy's been that guy that I think people don't want to play him, but if they do, they're not mad because he's been putting up numbers, man. He really has. Now, they've been a little slow lately, but Brock Purdy has been he's been all right, man. He has been all right. Let's keep it going. Olu, matchup to exploit this week.
Right. Matchup to exploit. I have DeAndre Hopkins versus the Bucs secondary. I put that matchup because I feel like the Bucs secondary has been giving up a lot of yards lately. They gave up over 100 yards to 3 different Texans receiver room that's known to not have a lot of firepower, but they gave up a lot of yards to them. And then to the Bills, they gave up a lot of Bills have not been doing well. But with the Bucs secondary, they gave up 92 yards to Khalil Shaquille. They gave up 87 yards to Gabe Davis. This is in the same game, and 70 yards to Stefan Diggs. Put that together, they've just been really hemorrhaging yards and passes. So I feel like DeAndre Hopkins is going to have a really really good day with them. The strong suit of that defense is their run defense, but their pass defense is quite weak. So DeAndre Hopkins is already building a connection with the quarterback, the rookie quarterback of the Titans. So I feel like they're gonna have a really good day with the Bucs on Sunday. So you might want to have DeAndre Hopkins in your lineup.
Oh man, DeAndre Hopkins blew up a few weeks ago. Is he on the rise? Shed, what do you want to say about that?
Yeah, so I think with the insertion of Will Levis, and I think it was announced that moving forward, the Titans are going to go with him as a starting quarterback. Deep Hop has been the beneficiary of Will Levis coming in. So keep him there. This will help Levis, and Olu, you could definitely be onto something. We could see an explosion with D Hop this week.
Oh gosh, D Hop, man. Let's keep it moving. Ryan, who's your matchup to exploit this week?
Well, I hate to say it, but Olu, I will give you credit. I think that's a great call right there. Levis likes to let it fly, and Tampa can't stop it. But what I want to talk about is not just for this week, but it's for every week moving forward. Start everything that moves against the Washington Commanders. That defense is hot garbage. Now, they actually had a strength at one point in time, And then they decided to trade it away.
Get away. Get out of here,
Get
pass
out of here,
rushers. Who needs
Sweat.
him?
Get out of here, Chase Young. What does that mean? That means Geno Smith time, baby. That Geno just got humiliated by going all the way to the East Coast. But guess what? Now Washington gets to go all the way to the West Coast. I'm starting every Seahawk that moves a little bit. I don't like that whole Kenneth Walker Charbonnet thing. If the settings were right, I might start them both, though. I want Geno in there. I want all three of those receivers, including my boy JSN.
Where did he go to
Washington.
school? Where did he go to school, Ryan?
Oh, the Ohio State University. Thank you very much. And we would have won the national championship if we didn't get an illegal hit out of bounds. Sorry. Never mind. Anyway, start your Seahawks against the horrendous Washington Commanders.
Yeah, the Seahawks. It's so interesting because have their receivers? I feel like have they had multiple receivers go off in the same game this year yet?
No, it's been a bad year for Seattle. Seattle upgraded in terms of their offense. They upgraded in terms of their personnel, and they have massively disappointed through the air. I think that changes this week. I'm starting them all. I think they all eat. I think they all eat. I mean, basically, if you're a terrible defensive backs, and that's what Washington has always been these last 5-10 years, you know what? The one thing that can save you is a good pass rush. Well,
they ain't got
a good pass rush anymore. So, yeah, I think all of Seattle eats. I think all three receivers, I'm starting them all.
All right, now. My matchup to exploit is I love it too. I like David Montgomery. I like him a lot this season. Let's not forget that the Lions are one of the best offenses in the NFL. And it feels weird saying that because they've been the joke of the NFL since Jesus walked on the earth. And the fact that they are an explosive offense, we all have to admit it. We like Amon-Ra St. Brown. We all do. Jared Goff is a top 10 fantasy quarterback. And David Montgomery landed in the right place and started off the year hot. He started off the year hot, scoring touchdowns in his first 2 games. And then he took a week off. He was injured. In week 4, he was inserted back into the lineup. Some people were hesitant to start him when he came back and didn't put him in their lineup. And they were they made a big mistake because they missed out on 121 yards and 3 touchdowns when he came back into the league. Let's not forget, Jahmyr Gibbs, yes, he's explosive, but Jahmyr Gibbs is not an every down back. Why? Because he's small. David Montgomery can put the ball in the end zone. When they get in the red zone, they're going to David Montgomery. Let's not forget, the guy can run the ball. The guy missed a few weeks, and he's still tied for 5th in touchdowns. He's averaging 4.1 a carry. Listen, the guy can play. They're going to continue to feed him the rock. Yes, Jahmyr Gibbs will be involved, but I believe David Montgomery's the guy to play against the LA Chargers. I think that's going to be a good game. The LA Chargers are a good team, but I think that the Lions can hang with them. So David Montgomery will not be scripted out of the game. I think they will continue to feed him the rock. They'll continue to run. They still have a great offensive line. Yes, the Chargers have a good defense, but a lot of that is their pass rush that's so good. I believe the Lions will be able to run the ball. I believe David Montgomery will eat this week. Start him with confidence, coming back from injury. David Montgomery.
Do you think give him that much carry coming out of injury right away?
I believe so.
Right. So my hesitation with that is, yes, he's come back from injury, but I have seen guys come back and get a lot of carries. Plus, you add Gibbs has been explosive the last 2 weeks, and they might have seen that, okay, let's give him more of an opportunity. So do you think that's going to hinder Montgomery's output? Do you think he'll be the Montgomery of the first 4 weeks? What do you think going forward?
I think Gibbs is explosive. And I think, given why they brought Montgomery in, I think he will be their red zone running back. But I also think because of how they used him at the beginning of the season, I think he'll be just fine. To be honest with you. And it's not just because I like him, but I think he'll be all right. Ryan, what do you think?
Jameer Gibbs eats salad, and David Montgomery eats kneecaps. That coach likes kneecap eating guys. David Montgomery is going to score a touchdown in every single game he plays the rest of the way. I would book that over I would CMC. Go look at it. What happened last year? Some scrub named Jamal Williams ate up something 17, 18 touchdowns. The Lions love them some David Montgomery. When push comes to shove, Lions are going to always be up. Not always, but more than likely be up in the game script. It is David Montgomery time. Eat, eat, eat. Touchdown every week. Absolute must have.
Let's talk matchups to avoid. Let's warn our listeners. These are the guys that you're thinking you might be starting or you're on the fence about. Take them out of your lineup. Shed, you're up, man.
All right, so matchups to avoid. Avoid Jerome Ford versus this Baltimore defense. The Ravens defense has only given up 3 rushing touchdowns all year long. That's in a total of 9 games. So they're averaging allowing 1 rushing touchdown every 3 games. Oh, we'll give you a touchdown once every 3 games. Think about it. Ford and Hunt, both of them, they struggled this past week to run against the Arizona defense, which is 3rd worst defense in the league, rushing 34 times for an average of about 2.4, 2.5 yards per carry. Stefanski was trying to run a ball. They were trying to move the rock 34 times. They just couldn't move it anywhere. If you can't run against the Cardinals D, which is the Cardinals team, which is 1-7, you're not running against the Ravens. You factor in that the Browns are at the bottom of the league in rushing yards, bottom 7 in yards per carry. Add the fact that this is a home game for the Ravens. The Ravens have only given up 12 points per game this year, and this is a divisional game. What does that mean? Which means low-scoring game. If anything, I can see this being more of a Watson and Amari Cooper game rather than a Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt game, if anything.
Golly. Ryan, you're a Browns fan, man.
Yeah,
Come on,
I know a thing or two about my Brownies. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Ford's interesting. I mean, I watch all their games. They've actually started inserting Pierre Strong into the game plan. And so if you're going to go with a Brown, you go with Kareem Hunt. That's the guy they like at the goal line. But don't start Kareem Hunt this week unless you really, really need something. But no, I would, I don't know. If I were in a dynasty league, I'd try to rip somebody off and get a second round pick for Jerome Ford. What do you think about that, Matty Dubs?
Listen, I needed a running back, okay?
Actually, no,
And
I think that was Dobbs. I got Romeo Dobbs from you. So
you
we
got
both
Dobbs.
struck out.
No, actually, hold on. I didn't give you a second. I gave you Dobbs, and you gave me Jerome Ford in like 2 future picks.
In the
So
third.
like,
In the third. It was a third.
it was a third. It was a third. Yes.
Yeah.
But hey, I needed Dobbs, man, and now I'm in second place in that league, so it works for me.
It was a trade that worked out for neither of us, but you go for it.
All right, okay. Who's next? Olu, matchup to avoid, man.
So match to avoid, I'll put Zay Flowers. Not because it's not good, not because Lamar is not a good passer, but lately their passing rate has been quite low. They've been running the ball more. But versus Cleveland, they certainly want to run the ball against Cleveland, and that's what they will do. Because against Cleveland, the Cleveland defense is the best in the league. You have the pass rush is lethal with Garrett with Miles Garrett. The Denzel Ward is an amazing cornerback. So I feel like they're gonna focus more on running the ball. With that said, I would say sit Zay Flowers. If you have somebody like Tank Dell instead of him, you might want to play him instead. So yeah, so that's my matchup to avoid.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one, man. Because Zay Flowers, it's like Baltimore's offense is hot right now, but Zay Flowers hasn't been the guy to give you 10 catches. He hasn't been that guy.
He's been inconsistent. Not in terms of his play, but his fantasy production. But he's been productive enough for the Baltimore offense. And the Baltimore offense is just very unpredictable. One moment they're passing at an elite level, and then the next moment they just run the ball all day long. And then it's good in terms of football wise, But for fantasy,
Right.
you don't know what
Yep.
you're going to get. So they're very unpredictable fantasy wise. So that's why you might, you definitely sit down Odell for sure. Do not play Odell. Do not pay Zay Flowers. But
Yeah, and that's the thing we've talked about countless times on this podcast is the difference between someone being football good and fantasy good.
yeah,
And yeah, Zay Flowers, PFF has him rated the 30th best wide receiver play this week.
yeah,
That's crazy. They have Marquise Brown over him.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah. You
he's got
definitely
Denzel
want to
Ward.
see Cleveland Brown defense for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good call. That's a good take.
So I get to disagree with you a bit here, Olu. If there's anything, I mean, it's death taxes and the Baltimore Ravens are the most three predictable things in the world. But for the last 5 years, here's what you can count on. Lamar Jackson's going to be a great fantasy quarterback because he runs the ball.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson will not create a top 24 fantasy wideout. Won't happen.
What about tight
Mark
end?
Andrews is going to eat, and you
Okay.
want that running back. I think it's as predictable as it gets. The
Well,
only
that's-
thing that's where I might have a tough time predicting is which running back's going to eat. But I'm starting Gus Edwards everywhere. Probably even against the Browns, I'm probably starting Gus Edwards, and I'm going to wait to see if this Mitchell guy can get those carries. But I do think they're actually pretty predictable.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I owe an apology to our listeners. I said do not start Gus Edwards last week. And this past week, the man balled out again. I was wrong about that. So Baltimore, yeah, those running backs, that offense is good, but let's not start Zay Flowers this week.
Correct.
No, didn't.
Ryan, your turn. Matchup to avoid.
Oh boy, I'm gonna about a game to avoid, and that's gonna be this Bears Panthers. I'm staying away from Chuba Hubbard. I'm staying away. Surprisingly, I was surprised to see that the Bears actually run defense is actually pretty good. Their pass defense, hot garbage, but they do stop the run, and they just went out and got Montez Sweat.
Yep.
I'm staying away from that
beautiful.
nasty Carolina stuff. I clearly don't want Miles Sanders. Chuba has passed him up, but this is not the week for Chuba Hubbard.
Oh, yeah. Forget it. Forget it. Chuba
Oh,
Hubbard,
it's
yeah,
gross.
right. I'm not interested in that. Love you, Chuba. Hope you subscribe to our channel. Yeah, I wouldn't start Chuba Hubbard. My matchup to avoid is very simple. It's my man, Saquon Barkley. Now, if you're relatively new to fantasy football, you may look at a situation and think to yourself, oh, the Giants are starting a third-string quarterback. That means they're going to run the ball. There's truth to that, but everybody knows they are going to run the ball, especially opposing defenses. Saquon Barkley, yes, talented. He has been one of the least efficient running backs this year. Yeah. Now, against the Raiders, he had a good day. He averaged 5.6 carry. But that was the only game he averaged over 4 yards a carry since week 1. So the New York Football Giants cannot block well. They cannot pass. They are going to run the ball, and they're playing against Dallas, who knows they're going to run the ball, who's going to beat the brakes off of them and get off to an early lead and force the Giants to do something desperate, like actually try to pass the ball, and it's just going to be horrendous. I know you probably drafted Saquon Barkley within the first 2 rounds of your NFL draft.
No, I didn't.
Olu, be quiet. It might be time to put him on the shelf permanently. Or try to trade him. It's going to get pretty ugly. Somebody asked me, hey, Matt, being a Giants fan, is this rock bottom? I said, no. We still have 8 more weeks. We're going to the Earth's core, man. That's how low we're going. So I would sit Saquon Barkley. I would not start him. It's going to be ugly for the New York Giants in Dallas this weekend.
131-1. I don't hear your whining. 131-1.
That was 2 years.
I don't want to hear your whining.
I mean, Matt, you know me. I would say don't even start Saquon at all this year because I do feel like we put unmerited value on Saquon. Even when we started this podcast, Saquon was picked to be the number 3 running back in the entire league, and I was like, no, that's not a correct assessment. Number one, the context of what team he's on. Number two, he's not. You know how I feel. He's not quite a durable running back. He doesn't run north and south. Saquon is just not who everybody think he is. Sorry, Saquon, if you're listening. please still subscribe.
Yeah, what you
You're
do, this
lucky.
actually is if you have Saquon, you actually have a nice little asset here because he has a name. And people are dumb and they'll trade for a name. I
Yes,
am offering Saquon for
yes,
HN all day long. I would
yes,
take him for you offer him up and you go get Monty. You go
yes,
get David Montgomery.
yes.
I'm taking Kyron Williams for him. I
I'll
want
take
nothing to
Rashard
do with
White
Saquon, but
over
Saquon
over
will get
Saquon.
you an asset. Work those lines.
Yes,
Somebody dumb will take him off your hands. But get
yes.
rid of him now.
Get this.
I feel like you guys are hurting me.
I'll take
Just kidding.
Rashard White of the Bucks over Saquon Barkley.
Right. I'm not putting Saquon on my bench. That's a waste of a name. I'm turning Saquon into something else.
Yeah,
Give me
yeah,
another
yeah.
asset. You'll get one for him.
There you go. Good advice. Let's speaking of running backs, we got to keep it moving, guys. All right, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna reveal our top 10 running backs for the remainder of the season. As in, right now we're smack in the middle of the season. If the season were to end right now, these are the guys that we think are the top 10 fantasy running backs going forward. So what we're gonna do is and these are based off of rankings that myself, Olu, Shed, Will from Spain entered his, as well as Ryan. So the five of us took our top 10 running backs. We averaged it all out, and we're going to reveal to you who the top 10 running backs, the 4 Wide Fantasy Football Podcast, top 10 running backs are for the rest of the season. Shed, remind me, are we going 1 to 10 or 10 to 1?
1 to 10.
We're going to go 1 to 10. So
Yeah,
I'm going to
one.
reveal all 10 first, and then we're going to rewind, and we're going to debate. We're going to have some we're going to debate our discrepancies, okay? So here we go. Top 10 running backs for the rest of the season. I think number 1 is kind of obvious. Of course, it's Christian McCaffrey at number 1. At number 2, probably one of my favorite guys through the rest of the season is Travis Etienne. I have so many shares of Travis Etienne in all my best ball drafts. He's my top drafted player, Travis Etienne.
Nice.
At number 3, we have Alvin Kamara. He's not done yet. Alvin Kamara is not done yet. At number 4, surprisingly, is Josh Jacobs. At number 4, the number 4 running back for the rest of the season. At number 5, we have the guy who everyone slept on at the beginning of the season, Raheem Mostert. Actually, we have a 3-way tie for number 5. It's Raheem Mostert, Derrick Henry, the king is back, as well as Kenneth Walker. After that, at number 8, we have Austin Eckler, one of my favorites. At number 9, Devin A. Chain. At number 9. And at number 10, Bijan Robinson. Isn't that something? Christian McCaffrey, Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara, Josh Jacobs, Raheem Mostert, Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, Austin Eckler, Devin A. Chain, and Bijan Robinson. At number 1, we have Christian McCaffrey. Guys, we all 5 of us, the 4 of us, as well as Will, who's in Spain, we all voted on Christian McCaffrey at number 1. Does anybody want to weigh in on that at all? Is there anything interesting to say about that? There's no discrepancy at all.
No.
All right, let's just keep it moving. If you have Christian McCaffrey, you're probably really happy you drafted him. All right, at number 2, like I said at the very top, Travis Etienne, one of my favorites. I had him number 2 behind Christian McCaffrey, as well as Ryan and Shed. Olu, you had him at number 3, not at number 2. Why do you have him rated a little bit lower?
So I'll have him rated a little bit lower just because of 2 people ahead of him, which is Sam C and HN. HN is phenomenal. I'll let Ryan talk more about HN because he loves HN. But the only reason why HN is number 3 is just because of the 2 people I had ahead of him.
Okay. Well, I love Travis Etienne. I think what the guy's going to be able to do going forward, he's more involved in the passing game now. Finally, he's more involved in the passing game. If you have PPR format, you're really happy about that. But the man is scoring touchdowns. And that's one of the most important things. He's getting the yards, he's getting the catches, and he's getting the touchdowns. At number 3, we had Alvin Kamara. He is still a PPR machine. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. The man is getting catches. He seems like he's the majority of the offense. I also had him ranked at number 3, but here's what's interesting. Olu didn't have him ranked at all. Olu, why didn't you have him ranked?
Number one is the efficiency of the team is on. They're so inconsistent, and they have one of the worst O line actually, believe it or not. So just based on that alone, and the consistency of the way the offense is, I don't feel like it's going to be a top 10 back towards the end of the season.
Interesting. Now, Shed, you had him ranked third. Ryan, you had him ranked fourth. Do either of you guys want to say why he's where he needs to be right now? Because we have him ranked third. Why do you guys think he ought to be where we have him?
Yeah, so I'll go. So currently as we said, he's probably RB7, RB8 at this point. But he's gonna go up. Keep in mind, he was out 3 games this year, and he's still RB7. Five of his last 6 games. 5 of his last 6 games, he's averaged about 25 points or more in 5 of the last 6 games. And there were 2 games where he had 14 and 13 receptions. So this guy, just on receiving, that's his 14, 13 reception right there. So he's going to skyrocket. That's why I put him number 3. Ryan, it looks like you have something.
Yeah, when I was in college, I thought I was staying healthy by eating cheese and mayonnaise sandwiches. Plain, boring, and disgusting. And that is what Alvin Kamara is. He's plain, boring, and disgusting. But the reality is he gets a lot of fantasy points. I mean, this is a guy that his numbers really change based on the strategy, right? If you're in a PPR league, he zooms up to that 3-4 spot, right? Because David Carr has a noodle for an arm. He cannot throw the ball. Michael Thomas didn't have a catch last week. He's clearly battling with Olave. There's one thing he can do. He can check that beast down. Kamara had 25 catches in 2 games. Boring, ugly, Kraft mac and cheese, but he's going to put up points. Got to take him.
What does that have to do with cheese and mayonnaise sandwiches?
It was just plain, boring, disgusting.
Check down.
Fills the belly.
Can you wait? Was the cheese and mayonnaise sandwich actually like something you were looking forward to making, or was that like all you had left?
I thought a lot of things. I thought I invented fantasy football, and when I went to college, I said I can't get fat, so I'm going to eat healthy food. And I went and I bought a thing of bread, a thing of mayo, and a thing of Kraft cheese, and I thought that was healthy.
He said I wanted to eat healthy, so I bought bread.
That was my choices.
And cheese.
Yep.
I'm sorry, y'all. That was hilarious. Okay,
No.
at number 4, the fantasy football podcast, we have Josh Jacobs at number 4. Now, personally, I had him at number 9. I had him low. One of those reasons is because I don't believe in the Raiders' offense. Yes, I was at the game when Josh Jacobs scored 2 touchdowns. However, I don't think the Raiders are explosive enough to go down the field. They did that against the Giants. The Giants stink. Josh Jacobs, yes, he's good, but I just don't believe in that offense. You guys had him higher. Olu, you had him at 6. Shed, you had him at 5. And Ryan, you didn't even have him ranked at all.
You got that right.
So why don't you guys start? So Ryan, why didn't you have him ranked? Because I had him low. Why didn't you have him in there?
It's similar to your Saquon Barkley. It's kind of Saquon Barkley light. You got Aiden O'Connell. I like Aiden, but he's a rookie quarterback. They're going to be trying to throw. This offense just is not dynamic. Josh Jacobs is fine. You play him every week. You put him in there. But I'm not looking for 12-point games. I'm looking to win championships, and I'm not going to do that with a 12-point running back.
Shedder Olu.
Yeah, I feel
you
like
guys had him ranked.
With Josh Jacobs, it's different now because now they're under new management. They're under an NFL player, and he's a defense.
Yes.
And you know those defensive guys, they love to play defense and run the ball. So I feel like with that, Josh Jacobs is going to go back to what form he's been before. And we already saw in the first game. He had 2 touchdowns already off the rip in the first game. And I think from here on out, he's just going to continue to transcend the ladder of the RB rankings. So I think Josh Jacobs is definitely one to look out for. Easily top 10. I had him number 5, and I think it's just going to keep climbing up because it's a new day. There's a new sheriff in town.
Josh Jacobs is quietly balling among the craziness. Like, it's hard for us to see that because we just see Raiders and crazy going on. Olu's right. It's new management, new head coach. he's probably averaging 23, 24 points over the last 6 games. He's had a 34-point game, 22-point game, a 24. He's had a couple of 15 and 6s in there, but he's quietly balling among the craziness. And Antonio Pierce is going to feed his guys. He's going to feed Devontae, and he's going to feed Josh Jacob, and he knows how to run the ball. That's why
Antonio
I had a
Pierce.
little bit. Yeah.
Antonio Pierce, middle linebacker, New York Giants, 2007 Super Bowl champs. All right, after that, we had a 3-way tie. For time's sake, why don't we just talk about, maybe if you want to talk about just one of these guys, Raheem Mostert, Derrick Henry, and Kenneth Walker, all tied at number 5. Does anyone want to weigh in on one of these guys? We're not going to do all 3. Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, or Raheem Mostert. I'll weigh in. I didn't even have Derrick Henry ranked. Yes, the King is incredible. Tennessee, I think, has punted their season. They showed some life against the Steelers, but I just can't get behind Derrick Henry anymore. I liked what he's done in the NFL, but at this point, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling that offense. I think it's going to be very predictable, especially with Will Levis now. I just can't see it happening with Derrick Henry.
So the thing about Henry's one of those guys you kind of give up on him, and then he balls out and he gives you 21, 22 points in fantasy. Like, okay, that's just one game. And then he does it again. And then he does it. It's not pretty. You know, he may get you one run for 80 yards and may struggle the rest, but he gets the points, right? I call him, he's just steady Eddie. You know, he's gonna emerge with Levis there. I think that's gonna escalate him. That's why he was actually number 4 for me. So I actually have more faith in Derrick Henry than most of you guys do, because I just think that he's just going to produce. Levis will throw the ball. That's going to force teams to back off, and Henry's going to have more lanes to run.
Now, here's a juicy one. At number 8, we had Austin Eckler. Now, here's what's interesting. Shed, you didn't rank him at all. Olu, you didn't rank him at all.
Oh,
Ryan, you had Austin Eckler at number 3, and
Yeah.
I had Austin Eckler at number 4.
yeah.
And Will did not rank him at all. This is an interesting one. 3 of us didn't rank him, 2 of us did, and we ranked him relatively high. Ryan, why do you have Austin Eckler ranked so high at number 3?
Well, 2 of us are right and 3 of us are horribly wrong. You play this game to win championships, and Austin Eckler is that kind of guy. He clearly has had injury. He hasn't kind of balled out yet, but he will. It can't take the Chargers this long to realize that their best weapon is Austin Eckler. They need to get him back in the role that he was before. I think they're smart enough to do that. And when that dude went, you want elite Austin Eckler, you want elite production, there's your guy right there. That's a great upside play.
So
What I love about him, he gets carries in the goal. He gets carries at the goal line, and he gets catches between the 20.
It's everything.
okay. So what I would say about that is, what is that old saying? How does that old saying goes? The best ability is availability. And Austin Eckler has been known to be injury prone. He's available now. He's getting good numbers now. Great. But how long is going to be available for? We can easily count. We can easily bet. We can bet on whether he will be available or not. And the answer is he's not going to be available for very long throughout the league. It's
Well,
not.
see,
Based
last
on
year,
what?
Wait,
Based on what are you talking about? Based on what?
it's based on history. He's
wait, what history are you talking about? He played every game last year, and the
So
year
we
before that, he
so
played
get rid of
16 games.
CMC then, right? Get rid of him.
I think
That dude missed 2 years.
However, he played hurt in some games, which affected his productivity. Okay, is that true or not?
Well, last year he was the number 1 running back in PPR formats. The year before that, he was the number 2, and he didn't miss any games last year, and he only missed 1 game the year before that.
A few times last year, from what I remember, he was hurt.
What's that?
I said I'm pretty sure he was hurt quite a few times last year. From what I
No,
remember.
he played all 17 games last season.
That's why Joshua Kelly is drafted. Even Isaiah Spiller was drafted too, just for that very reason. So that's what I'm saying. It's really hard for me to put him up there because he never is 100% available for the fantasy
Hey,
play.
man,
half of the NFL running backs this year were gone by week 3. That is a risk for everybody. When you get a dirtball like Minka Fitzpatrick aiming for knees, it doesn't matter if you're Nick Chubb, who's never getting injured. You're going to get injured. This is a random, it's a fluky league. He absolutely could get hurt, as could every other player on
There
this
is,
list.
there
Dude,
is
it's
such a
crunch
thing.
time, man. I'm playing for championships. I'm not playing what-if games.
There is such a thing as injury prone. We all know when the league starts. This is what we know for sure. When each season the league starts, we know this for sure. Saquon is probably gonna get hurt at some point. Mike Williams will get hurt. Waller will get hurt. We know those things for fact. And guess what?
Yeah.
It happens every single year.
I didn't hear Austin Eckler on that list.
Yeah, because he's automatically included on that list. But anyway, that's the reason why.
Based on what?
So I'm going to go a different direction here. Besides week 1, where he averaged 7 yards per carry, his last 4 games, he's averaging 2.6 yards per carry. And Matthew talked about getting goal line touches. He hasn't gotten a lot of touchdowns this year. I think this year he's kind of fell off a little bit. He hasn't even rushed for 50 yards in any of those games, any of the games he's been in. And in 2 games, he rushed for less than 30 yards. And those games, he didn't even get 40 yards receiving. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, unlike previous years, he's not getting the touchdown. He'll get points. I'm not saying he's not going to get points. All I'm saying is that you're expecting him to be like Eckler of last year. I don't think he's going to be that. He's going to be probably a 12 to 15-point guy.
Last year, okay, put it this way. Last year, he was the number 1 running back in PPR formats, and the man only rushed for over 100 yards in 2 games. He does his damage in the red zone when he gets the goal line carries and through the passing game. He's not. He's. I think he's gonna get it done. I think if you drafted him, you will be rewarded. I think the LA Chargers offense, it should get. I hope it gets better.
Then in that case, let's specify we're talking about Austin Eckler in the PPR format, not in all formats. Can we?
Well, even in the regular format, he was the number 1 running back last year.
In a regular format, really?
Wait, you know what? I don't know that. I don't know that for sure.
Yeah. So we can specify because if we're talking about the formats that counts the yardage, he doesn't get yards. He's not a yards guy. He's a red zone guy. That's what he is.
Well, here's the thing. Last year, 915 yards, 107 catches for another 722 yards.
I mean,
So that's
1,600.
that's 1,600 yards.
So wait, hold on a second. All right, Matt. So if we're talking about Eckler, how he did last year as a tell of how he's doing this year, then how come Josh Jacob is low when he's the number 1 running back from last year?
That's a great question.
So if we want to use that for Eckler, we gotta use that for Joshua too. We gotta say, I don't like Joshua. I don't like his face. So I'm not gonna put him in.
I didn't say anything about his face.
It's a good point. I'd say Eckler's game is fantasy proof, whereas he can slice you 3 different ways. He can go off for 140 yards rushing. He can do that whole. If you're in PPR, half PPR, he's got a 9-catch, 88-yard game. He is their goal line back. He's their everything. Josh Jacobs runs the ball, and when the running game isn't going, he can get shut down. Eckler's fantasy proof.
Eckler had 18 touchdowns last year.
18.
So
Fantasy proof until that injury.
okay, let's keep it moving. At number 9, we have Devin A. Chain, who I didn't have ranked. I would not rank him because again, I said the man is built like your corporate accountant. He is tiny. I don't have him in there. He's like 170 pounds playing running back in the NFL. I don't have him ranked at all. Yet Olu has him at number 2.
Number 2.
Because he saw my ranking and copied.
Has him at number 6. Me and Shed didn't rank him at all. I don't have him ranked. You guys know why? I think the man's tiny. I think he's going to get injured again. Raheem Mostert's going off. But why do you guys have him ranked so high? Olu at number 2. Ryan at number what do you have, Ryan?
Let me start.
6?
I know you love him. I want to give you enough time to make a case. Okay.
All right. So let me make a case. Why do we play fantasy football? Do we play to compete or do we play to win? You play to win the game. Let's talk about my boy, Patrick Jeffers, 1999, with Steve Burline as the quarterback. Fantasy playoffs, 7 for 107 and a touchdown. 8 for 147, 2 touchdowns. 8 for 138 and a touchdown. 5 for 160 and 2 touchdowns. 7 for 165 and 2 touchdowns. And everybody rode Patrick Jeffers to the championship. Devon A. Chan. That dude has played 3 games. He has 7 touchdowns. He had a 200-yard game. This dude is lightning in a bottle. I am not saying that he is going to win it, but that's the kind of guy you can win it with. And you have the perfect, listen to me, you have the perfect opportunity. He is out of sight, out of mind right now. He hasn't played in 4 weeks. His 4 weeks are up, and now they have a bye week. He's off the grid. He's off the radar. Miami can't play anymore. Miami lost it. Go get yourself Achane right now, this week, during the bye. That is a way you can win it. You're a 6 seed and you barely made it in. You have Achane on your team. You can win it all. That's what we play this game for. Go get the home run hitter and leave your stupid Derrick Henry on the bench. Make it happen.
Yes, yes. Listen, I'll say this. I don't care if he's 110 pounds. I don't care if it's 300 pounds. I don't care about any of that. I care about the numbers, and I care about championship, like Ryan says. And guess what? Right now, in my fantasy league, I'm 9-0. The first part of it is mostly due to Achane. I was unbeatable when Achane was on my roster. Okay? And now the man gives you literally 170 yards, multiple touchdowns. You can't argue the number. I don't care whether he looks like an accountant. I don't care if he looks like a librarian. I don't care. I don't care if it looks like I don't care what he looks like. The man gets the job done, and he overwhelmingly does the job. So Achane, clearly number 2. Clearly. And the only reason we have CMC ahead of him is because CMC has been consistent and Achane's been hurt. So I can't give that to CMC. So Achane is second. Sorry, bro.
Ryan, what do you think, man?
I just want to give a quick little shout out as we're talking about guys on the IR that has been forgotten about. Kyren Williams has that same ability to win you championships. That dude was 3rd in the league. I don't know how. He's not good at football, but boy, does he produce in that system. He is the Cooper Kupp of the Rams running game. He's coming back. Dude, those numbers, you could not argue. Top 3 running back, go get him on the cheap. Go get yourself James Conner on the cheap. They're coming back.
Yeah,
these guys can carry you.
I traded in a dynasty league. I traded away Kyren Williams at like week 3 or week 4. I traded him away and I got Jaylen Warren, a future first-round pick, and a future second or something like that. I'll take that all day.
Yeah. Warren's legit.
I think Achane, you're right. He's lightning in a bottle. He's fast as all get out. Honestly, I fear the man's going to find himself injured again. And again, you can't play the I fear this or I fear that, blah, 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 blah. But at that size, oh my gosh, it's just...
So what? He costs you nothing right now.
I fear these young guys, these rookies. Look, Achane went out. Jahmyr Gibbs dealt with an injury. Tank Dell dealt with an injury. Now Josh Downs, I think, is dealing with some sort of injury. All these undersized rookies are always getting beat up in the NFL. That's my fear with Achane. I like him. I think he's fast. I think he's great. But anyways, and last we have Bijan Robinson. We don't have a lot of time to talk about Bijan Robinson. He was my number 1 running back coming into the season. We have him ranked collectively at number 10, but we don't have time to go into that. Hopefully, Arthur Smith realizes how great this young man really is. Maybe he's been preserving him. I don't know. But Bijan Robinson, that man is incredible. And Arthur Smith, don't know what you're doing, man. He doesn't have that headache anymore where he only got 1 carry that 1 week. Bijan Robinson, we have him ranked number 10. Shed, you want to say something before we go into our single game block?
Yes, quickly. Notice that none of us, you know who's 4th in the league in rushing right now? Swift.
Yeah.
Swift is 4th in the league in rushing right now. And, he's not even collected on the list.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. You're right.
Yeah, names not on the list are DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard,
Right.
Jonathan Taylor,
Yeah,
Brees Hall, who I love, Jahmyr Gibbs. We don't have any of those guys on this list.
what world is Derrick Henry making it above any of those guys?
Hey, man, I didn't even have Derrick Henry ranked. So
Listen, I'm an old man.
On my list, I have
Get rid
I have
of
those
rid
guys.
of your bias there. My goodness, Derrick
On
Henry's
my list,
done.
On my list, I have Swift and Jonathan Taylor. So that's on y'all.
Anyways, so what we should do, is there a way we could post our list somewhere, Shed? On with these
Yes.
on the podcast? Yeah, that'd be great. We could post our individual lists, and if you're watching on YouTube, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think. That'd be awesome. We'd love to hear your thoughts. But again, our list was 1 through 10: CMC, Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara, Josh Jacobs, Raheem Mostert, Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, Austin Eckler, Devon A-Chain, and B. John Robinson. That was our list. Obviously, some people are going to be upset. Some people won't understand. But that's the 4 Wide Fantasy Football Podcast. Lastly, guys, we got to go into our last segment. This episode's gone a little long today. Next week will probably be long because we're going to debate about receivers, top 10 receivers going forward. That'll be juicy. But we're going back into our single game mock. If you've been following us, you know we end every segment. We mock draft the upcoming Thursday night football game. We don't draft quarterbacks. We don't draft defenses or kickers, just skill players, running backs, receivers, and tight ends. We've been doing this since week 2. And to date, in first place is still Olu. Olu has 241.4 points. And second place is Shed with 221 points. He is 20 points behind Olu. In third place, I am no longer in fourth place. I have made my way to third place. Take that, Will. I have 173.7 points. And in last place, our brother Will with 162 points. Today, Ryan will be stepping in and drafting for Will. Either he will make it great or he will try to sabotage it. Wait, what were you going to say, Olu?
Matt, you passed Will.
I did. I passed Will, man.
Wow.
Look, the only reason why I was in last was because that stinking Thursday night game when I drafted Darren Waller and he got injured, and then my other pick was Isaiah Hodgins. He only got me 5 points, okay? So that's why I was in last. And then the next week, I drafted Sam Laporta, who got me like 8 points, and Luke Musgrave, who also got injured on like the first drive of Green Bay. So I got single-digit points 2 weeks in a row, but I'm coming back, baby. I'm coming back. I'm in third place, making my way back up, baby. Moving on up. Okay, so anyways, this week's game is the Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears. Let's not forget, last time Chicago played in Thursday night, DJ Moore went off, and that's one of the main reasons why Olu is in first place, because DJ Moore had 3 touchdowns.
Oh, you had that game? Yep.
All right, so we rotate our draft order. Today, Shed has the first pick, followed by Olu, Ryan, then myself. Then we'll snake back around for the second round. So, Shed, you're on. First overall pick.
Wait, before you pick, would you want me to tell you who I would pick so you could pick them? Because, I told you guys. Like last week.
Bro, you lucked your way into one pick.
Time out.
No.
Let me tell you something.
Last week, I told Matt. Matt picked first. I told him.
Yep.
Let me tell you who I would pick so you can pick him. I was like, nah. And guess what?
And what did I say? I said, I don't want to know who you pick. I don't care who you pick. And you know what I did? I made the right pick. Deontay Johnson. I took Deontay Johnson, number 1 overall, over Derrick Henry. And guess who scored the most points last week?
All right.
Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson scored the most points last week.
All right. I'll give you that.
Well, there is only one number 1 overall pick in this. This is the worst game ever. There might not be 20 fantasy points in this entire draft. Panthers, Bears, barf.
We will see who it is.
It is ugly.
Somebody always breaks out. We just got to figure out the breakout person. Give me number 1. Give me Thielen. He's going number 1.
Absolutely.
The highest Adam Thielen has ever been drafted in his
Ever.
Nice.
At pick 101. Olu, you're up at number 2. Who do you have, man?
All right, give me DJ Moore. Let's go.
It doesn't. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Nope.
Who did he take?
He took DJ Moore.
Oh, okay. Okay, DJ Moore. Okay. Well, that pretty much concludes the draft because it is ugly from here. I would want to take Chuba, but I've already said on the podcast, don't play him. So I'll stay true to that. I'm just going to go, oh, gosh, this is ugly. Well, I'm just going to do an upside pick. Give me Roshan. Just give me Roshan. I don't even know if the guy's going to play, but even if he gets 0.
It's third overall and then said, I don't even know if the guy's going to play.
Listen, if he gets 0 points, then I'm only missing like 3 points. Like, Roshan at least gives me a shot at 10 points. There's nothing else on the board.
So get the guy.
Dude, it's a trio at the one. This is ugly. I want to take Cole Kmet, but it's just I can't take Cole Kmet third overall. I can't do it. Give me Roshan. Let's go. This is an ugly draft.
Well, I will take I will go with Cole Kmet.
There you go.
The 4th overall pick.
Ryan,
I don't understand. Ryan, do you remember that time we were in a dynasty league and it was it was your turn to make a pick. We had a untimed clock. It was a slow draft. We said, Ryan, make your pick. You said, no, I'm not going to make my pick unless Mitch promises to pick right after me. Yeah. I won't take my pick unless Mitch promises to make his pick, which made no sense whatsoever.
All right, let's move on. Let's.
Anyway, and I took Travis Etienne, and the next day he tore his knee up. I hate you, Mitch Renshaw. Nah, it's not true. I love Mitch.
All right, I'll take Cole Kmet with my first pick, and then my second pick. Oh gosh, yeah, this is ugly, man. I'm not gonna lie. I think I got to go Chuba Hubbard. With my next pick.
All right, give me the other Bears running back. I'm just gonna lock up the Bears. I'm not even gonna lock them up because I need a third pick. Because there's 3 of them, but just give them to me anyway.
Herbert.
Yeah, no, already. Oh yeah. Give me Khalil Herbert, right?
Hopefully that Bears running game works out well for you.
It's a horrible draft.
It is a horrible draft.
Oh my goodness.
Give me.
I like mine. I feel fine.
Give me Hayden Hurst. We might have a slide-in.
Okay.
I thought about it.
Okay, sneaky pick with that one. Tight end Hayden Hurst. Shed, you have the last draft of this powerhouse of a game.
So it's interesting because Miles Sanders is still out there.
That's not interesting.
Not at all.
And you know what? I'm gonna go with Darnell Mooney. There was a sighting of him, I believe, recently. So I'm gonna go.
You said I'm gonna go with him because there was a sighting of him.
We're at the mall.
I'm gonna go for the with the rookie quarterback there. Maybe he'll find a connection with Darnell Mooney. So we'll see.
Okay, so here we go to round it out for this week's. What is it? Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears. Shed has Adam Thielen and Darnell Mooney. Olu has DJ Moore and Hayden Hurst. Ryan/Will has both Bears running backs, Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert. And yours truly has Cole Kmet and Chuba Hubbard. Yet again, it will be
Hey, Shed, I'll give you both my running backs and Will's pick next week for Thielen. Will's for the rest. No, but I'll give you both those running backs for Thielen.
No.
Or DJ
we
Moore.
don't do trades. We don't do trades.
Yeah, we do. It's fantasy football. We do trades. I'll trade both my picks for either of your top 2 picks.
Anyways, that concludes our episode for the day.
Invented this game. Don't tell me how it's run. I invented it.
Ryan, it was great having you, Mr. Kamish. Thanks for stepping in for Will. It's always awesome. We'll be back next week with more takes as we look at week 11. Again, your host, Matt Shed. Only stepping in for Will is Ryan. 4 Wide Fantasy Football Podcast. See you next week.
Peace.